Thank you so much for joining me today. We have Malia Dinko, founder of Northshea, with us. Northshea is a shea butter company that provides livable wages to women in Ghana, and they are amazing. I personally use their shea butter products, and it's so good. So good. I love it so much. So welcome, Malia.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. So tell us a little bit about how you got started with Northshea.
Okay. So, Northshea basically took a while to come into fruition. So if I really have to go back and tell like the full on story, I could just like maybe summarize that really quickly. We launched in 2018, but prior to that, we had an issue that we really wanted to solve, and the problem was poverty, right? I'm originally from Ghana, and I'm from a village called Wedkambo in the Upper East region of Ghana. And in that area, we produce a lot of shea butter. But again, the women and the people living there live in extreme poverty, to the point where some people don't even have their ability to even feed their kids even once a day. So with that problem, when I moved here to the United States, I knew that there was an issue of like poverty that I really was passionate enough to solve. Like I really wanted to mitigate that problem, and I really don't know where that desire came from. And by the way, my first name is Charity, so maybe that's playing a role in the desires that I had to solve issues like this. But it went all the way back then when I moved here, and I wasn't sure how to like, you know, solve that problem of poverty, because I wasn't really, you know, doing a job that allowed me to have a lot more, at least I thought, to have more for myself and then even give to other people. And also looking at the issue of poverty, you see it as like a really, really big global issue where one person cannot really solve, which is true. Um, so at the time, I was working at McDonald's and I was working at Walmart. And there was a day that I really, like the light bulb literally like just, came on for me when I was like on my way to work and I saw this guy begging for money on the street. And then it was at a red light. I honestly didn't have money with me. But when I looked in my glove box, I had like, about 25 cents or so. And this guy was like begging for money. The light is about to turn green. And instantly, like I felt like I had to give him that. And at the same time, I felt like that wasn't enough money to give to him, because you don't give someone 25 cents when you're asking for money for something. But I felt like I should, because he might have 75 cents in his cup and that could add up to $1 to buy a drink or something. And that one instant really, really strike for me. Like it allowed me to realize that I could still solve the issue of poverty back home, even though I worked at McDonald's, even though I worked at Walmart and felt like I didn't have enough money. But whatever little that I had that I could send back home could make a big difference. So I started this program with my mom, who's a teacher in Ghana. So we started doing like a feeding program, because like one of the biggest thing was like most of the kids coming to her school were coming very hungry. And as a teacher, she wasn't able to like keep up with that. She wasn't able to like, have kids come in one day and the next week they're not coming to school because they're not going to come on an empty stomach all the time. So when we started the feeding program with, little monies that I'll put together from my two jobs and send it over. And that kind of like evolved, and it got to a point where, I moved to Charlottesville for school, at UVA, because I was doing community college in Richmond before. And then I was like, I cannot keep up with, these two jobs anymore. Like I really have to quit my jobs, and I have to, still maintain what I've started, which is helping these kids get food. So everything basically like just brought itself together when I moved to Charlottesville because I had to now figure out, how do I continue this thing that I've started and still take care of myself and take care of the people. And that just led to me trying to figure out other solutions. How do I solve such a huge social issue with business? So I started like looking into other things, and also, how do we solve the root problem of the issue? Because we cannot keep feeding the kids at the school. Maybe we need to find ways to empower their moms to provide food for them. So we started like a program where we would give the moms money to start their own businesses, but we did not follow up with any type of like business skill. We did not follow up with any kind of like business like ideas on how they can actually run a business successfully. So 100% of the people that we gave money to were not able to pay us back in full. Even though it was no interest, they were supposed to just pay us back the money, and then the money is then given to the next woman to also start their business after you're, okay. But that did not work out either. So, like I'm saying, like just the whole idea of Northshea was birthed from all those issues and all those problems. So then, fast forward to me now going to, take classes. I started taking classes in like social entrepreneurship at UVA because I was like, I need to figure this thing out. How do we solve such huge social issues, not just poverty, but every like environmental issues and all these things with business? Because the money that we need to solve these problems, honestly, is in business. Money is business, right? And if you're going to be a nonprofit, you always have to be in people's pockets. You always have to be begging for money to do things for people, right? And I didn't think that was sustainable for me because I'm not just built for that. I can't always be at that level. So I wanted to be able to do it myself, in a way. But um, that's how, one day I was like, what resources do we have in the village? What do we have that we can leverage on? What do we have that we can stand on to take care of ourselves? And it was very obvious. Shea butter, the trees are everywhere. It's such a village that doesn't have much, but we do have a lot of shea trees. We have a lot of intelligent women and men. We have a lot of strong women and men who are in the position to do work if it's available. So we're like, okay, so let's create something. Let's create this business, and that's how Northshea came about. And it's named after the region where the village is, which is the northern parts of Ghana. So that's why it's Northshea. So we just, came up with a name, spoke to some key people and stakeholders in the area to understand how this was going to be feasible, and then we realized that it was something that they were interested in. Many of the women that we work with were already making shea butter, but they were not able to make a lot of money from it because they were being exploited. So we're like, okay, how about and then some of them too were not able to even do business with it. They're not built for business, and some other people didn't have the capital to actually go get the machines and then even buy nuts and all of that. So Northshea basically came up with a plan to create a facility where everything is provided: nuts, machines, everything. We have all of that. All the women have to do is to come into work, do the work, and get paid more than living wages so that they can take care of themselves and their kids. So back in 2018, that's when the whole idea and the whole vision came to life. And then we launched our website then, and it's been like that till today.
Yes, it's such an incredible story, truly. So, what would you say has been the biggest challenge since you first started your business?
I think one of the biggest challenges, there's been a couple, but um, it's just sometimes it's just like you need to find the drive to keep going as a business owner, because you're going to have days where the phone doesn't ring at all, and there are days where like it's ringing constantly, right? So it's like during those times when it's not ringing, during those times where your phone is not buzzing with orders, how do you keep up? How do you sustain yourself? How do you continue doing this thing that you so much love, when it's not in the position to take care of you?
Mhm.
So it's like that's one of the biggest challenges, because you have family and friends looking at you and basically giving you hints of like, you should probably be doing something else, like this is probably not, good right now, just find something else to do. And you really want to sell shea butter, like, stuff like that. You can't take care of the world. Like, everybody have their problems. Poverty will always be there. You have people tell you these things, like, and just reminding yourself that yes, poverty will always be there, but what mark can I make? Even if I have to affect two people in this world, that two people don't have to live in poverty, and then I die, at least I've allowed two people not to be in that position, right? But if you're going to look at the whole big picture of like not being able to solve the problem, then that wouldn't really work. So it's just that. And then very recently, we got knocked down really hard by we got robbed after we produced our biggest batch ever. We're super excited. That was like over 2,000 pounds of shea butter that we shipped over. Got our new space where everything felt like finally coming together after like almost over a year of working, and everything is finally coming together. And then back in July, there was a day we just woke up and everything was gone, including supplies, and everything that we had put in money and work was taken away. That was one of the biggest hits as well. But I wouldn't really see it as like it was a difficult time. I think it was a blessed time. I really really think that day was the day that Northshea was taking to the next level. As much as it felt like it was a blow, I felt like it was a lift, you know? So yeah.
Yeah, and I feel so deeply for you. I mean, we've known each other for a few years, and like I've seen the growth and how much work and how much like passion you have for the work that you do. And so I was heartbroken. I was in tears when I heard about what happened over the summer. And so um, we do have a GoFundMe that we're still running. I'll provide the link in the description, and you can go and support. And we also, I think it's really important now that we are supporting small businesses even more. So I know that you're ramping up for like holiday season and you're accepting holiday orders. So we just encourage folks to support in any way you can. There are lots of ways to support our small businesses these days. Go follow the Instagram page, share a
Yes.
post to your stories, right? Purchase the products, leave reviews, right? All of these things really make a huge impact for small businesses. So please do that. So now that we're kind of in this space where I hear you saying that it was a launching point almost for your business. So let's talk a little bit more about that. And so let's say from March until now, where have you seen the biggest shift, I suppose, in Northshea and even in yourself as a business person?
From March, from like
Yeah,
during COVID
from
this
like
year.
yeah, from this year, because March I think was just a really big turning point with things shutting down and businesses having to shift. And then
Hmm.
so up until this point, like you as a business person in March versus you as a business person now, how would you describe that?
I think me as a business person now is like more like more wise. I feel like I've had to gain more insight, more wisdom, to even know what to post and what not to post, to even know what to say and what not to say. Because business is beyond just like the transactions. It's like it's something that you need to build within yourself, and just it's like a part and parcel of like your personality basically. And I feel like I've been more grateful from March until now. Personally, grateful for my life, when we know that we've lost thousands and thousands of people and I'm still here doing a video. I've been more grateful to God for what he's doing and the amazing things that he's doing, for me, for my family, and for my business. And I've been more grateful for my customers that they are even here, more grateful for the people that I didn't even know existed, right? And who would, after, back in July when we got everything taken away, like the people that reached out when I didn't even know that they were watching me, I've come to realize that like the world is watching and people are seeing you. And sometimes in business, you just might be in the ropes of things, like, and not even feel like, it feels like what you're doing is like, nobody's seeing it, nobody cares, until something happened and you realize that, oh, all these people were watching me the whole time, um so I feel like I've just been more aware of myself. I've been more aware of my surrounding, being more aware and grateful.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I appreciate you sharing that. So with all of these shifts happening, where do you see yourself this time next year? Right, we're navigating obviously a pandemic. We're going through the holiday season, and then there's a lot of uncertainty, really, around how things are going to pan out. But where would you see yourself this time next year?
I honestly strongly believe that next year is going to be amazing, not just for my business, but for several small businesses. Whenever there is something as strong like this that happens, there has to be growth, like it feels like we've been hit hard and like, things have almost felt like they've died. But whenever, something like that happens, there's going to be new growth. And I feel like with all the things that we've all learned throughout this year going in, like a lot of businesses now know to create websites. A lot of businesses, for me, now know that I need to have a website that is going to be able to ship internationally. Like I've learned that, I need to make sure that my business insurance is strong enough. Like I need to make sure that, I have my business name, you know, um, trademarked, like stuff like that, because you realize that now you are in the eyes of like several other people, and moving forward to next year, you're preparing yourself in a way that like, I feel like next year is going to be amazing, because a lot of people are now aware of like this whole cyberspace with business. People who are not even, interested, like, feel like, oh, it's not for me, this whole internet thing is not for me, are embracing it more, and it's going to trickle down to a lot of people, even like you, who doing things like social media management, because like a lot of people who are not into that have realized that they need it, so like it opened doors for people like you, in terms of business, and it's like a ripple effect that's going to like affect everyone. More businesses coming in means, more supplies we need to buy, and all of that. So I honestly think, especially for Northshea, next year is going to be amazing. And I'm literally like getting ready, recently I had an encounter with God, and he was literally telling me to get ready, and there are moments where people they don't get ready for a blessing. And how God put it to me was basically like, in the Bible, he says that he said he makes rich and adds no sorrow, right? So when God makes you rich, there's no sorrow to it. Because can you imagine that if you were just a business there and from nowhere you get 2,000 orders? You have no boxes, you have no equipment, you have no know-how of how to ship 2,000 orders, and in one day you get 2,000 orders. What are you going to do? You're going to be stressed, you're going to be depressed, you're going to be anxious, and that is not of God. So sometimes the blessings doesn't come to us because we are not ready. We've not prepared ourselves to be in the position where when the power flows, you're like, I'm ready, So like during this year, I'm purchasing things like bigger mixers. Really, honestly, that's how much I feel like next year is going to be great. I've purchased a bigger mixer. I'm not using that small KitchenAid. Like it's not going to serve me. I'm really investing into bigger things, preparing myself for the blessing to come, So yeah, next year is going to be great.
That's real. That's real. And I think when you say that, I think about when we make these huge goals for ourselves, we're like, okay, this is what I want, right? I want this amount of dollars coming in from my business. I want this amount of clients. But as you said, we have to be ready to receive those things, because a lot of the times, if you're starting out with the KitchenAid, you might not be ready for 50,000 orders or something
Mm-hmm.
like that, right? So I love to hear that you are getting ready and that you've received that message, because you're preaching to us today.
Oh yeah.
It is a word though, and it's exciting to hear that, and it's absolutely coming. You know, I believe wholeheartedly that it's already on the way, and that
It
things are
is.
shifting for that our highest good at all times. You know, so
Yeah.
I am really excited for you. So you had touched a little bit on this earlier about making sure people's websites are good to go, and all of these like pieces that seem almost like insignificant, I guess, when you think about it. Sometimes it's like, oh, make sure you have this and this and this, but it really comes together to create a more like cohesive brand. So
Mm-hmm.
when you are thinking about like newbie entrepreneurs, people who are just getting started, trying to get started through the pandemic and all this stuff, what type of advice would you have for those people who are just getting started and maybe feeling a little discouraged?
Do not be discouraged because, um, there's always a beginning to every great thing, so even if it's a little steps, just take it. Make sure that you have space in the cyber world, because that's really going to make a big difference for you. If you need to hire someone to just, consult and know exactly what to do, you should do that. Make sure you have your Facebook, account ready. Make sure you have an Instagram account, from the get-go. Make sure that you look into how to, if you really want to do this long term, look into how to, get your name trademarked. It's very, very important before someone steals that, because when they start seeing that you're doing great, it just might go away. Make sure that all those things are in place. Get business insurance so that when you get robbed, you would have somewhere to fall. And the very important thing about the website is get a website that's functional. You don't have to you know go spend thousands of dollars for that, but you can even start with Wix. You can start with Shopify and create something. But the most important thing is to have your Facebook pixel. Just Google how to install Facebook pixel on your thing. If you wonder why some ads are always following you when you don't even know how they know who you are, it's because of the Facebook pixel. It's this thing that is, it's like magic. So make sure that that's installed properly on your website from the very, very first day, because you will lose the number of people when people come to traffic that you're going to bring to your website. You're going to lose all those people, never again to know who came there if you never had the traffic, if you never have the pixel there, because that's going to track every single person that comes to your site. So later on, you can target them with ads and target them with offers that would actually help create more business for you and value for them, of course. Don't worry so much about taking money. Worry so much about giving value.
Mhm.
When you start out, don't really think so much about, oh, how much am I going to make? Yes, that's great and all of that. But when you start giving value, money comes by itself. And people know that, hey, you have this product, you have this thing, and you're focused on like what this product would do for the customer. That goes a long way to put money in your pocket, rather than like you just asking, hey, this is a sale, we're doing a sale. You're always, begging, or like in a way pushing people to buy when we don't even know what it's going to do for us.
Mhm. Mhm. And for those who don't know, Facebook Pixel is a code that you insert onto your website, and it'll track your visitors. It'll track good data that's going to help you to like target ads and things like that. So you set that up when you have like a Facebook like business account, which is absolutely important for small business owners. So um, I appreciate that. So what has been give us a few tools and resources that have been helpful for you, because we know that like we are gathering this knowledge kind of sometimes along the way as we go, and it adds up over time. So what resources have been helpful for you recently?
As a business owner, I feel like there are a couple. I probably can't mention a lot of those, but just from beginning, I feel like I've enjoyed a lot of like resources from being based in Charlottesville, like the Charlottesville community, really, you know, I cannot talk about resources and not even mention Charlottesville in the same sentence, because they have really, really empowered me in several ways. You know, back then there was this, you know, program called Blue Morning. I don't think it exists currently, through Beth Johnson. And it was very helpful, you know, mentors, you know, like Antoine, like from like Culinary Concepts, like those resources, like people, individuals that have been helpful. So you can also look out for individuals in your area, programs in your area that helps businesses. You know, it doesn't have to be, it can be free of charge. You know, if you're starting out, there are programs out there that would empower and, you know, help you with that. I've also, you know, like even when it comes to shipping, for instance, like places like ShipStation is one great resource that we use all the time for shipping. Yeah, so like with those social media, I would say Instagram has been like a great one. I'm trying to see some like apps that I use. Visco is one app that I use to edit a lot of like my photos and things. It's a great resource to have. And yeah, I feel like, you know, another really good editing app is, I think it's called Splice,
Oh
I
yeah,
believe.
I downloaded Splice.
Yeah, it's a really, really, really good one too, to do, you know, edit your videos, and you know, you can do a lot just on your phone.
Yeah.
And that's all like great resources that I've been enjoying recently. Um, yeah.
No, that's great. So yeah, I love that. I have this dream. I know I've confided in Malia about this, is doing more reels myself. I can do all that stuff for my marketing clients, but truthfully, I have just such a hard time turning it on myself. And we see that often, especially with like photographers who like don't like being in front of the camera, right? They can take stunning photos, but they don't like turning the lens the other way. So I think it's a similar thing, but like I agree that apps save everything. Like apps are just life. I'm so grateful for having these tools and living in an age where we have so many tools that we can use from our phones to run our business and to do all of these things. So I agree. I think investing in apps, and even sometimes paying for the upgrades if you're able to, like
Yeah.
sometimes that does make a huge difference. Like, but think about what you're using often and what would make your life easier, you know? So I think scheduling apps absolutely have been really helpful for me as a business owner. And the video editing and photo editing apps absolutely are great. I like Visco as well. One thing I would also say is like invest in your education too. It's worth it to,
Yeah.
like Malia had said, like investing in people who've been there, who've walked that path, who know a little more than you, sometimes a lot more, you know, and invest in that time with them if you can, because it is absolutely worth it. And to touch base on the Charlottesville community resources, Charlottesville has so many resources that I don't think a lot of people realize. And it's once you start to like kind of network and unlock some of these, I kind of view it as like once you start to kind of unlock these little boxes, they like it's a ripple effect. So
Yeah.
if you are in the Charlottesville community, I would absolutely reach out to the Community Investment Collaborative. They're an excellent resource. They have a lot of different programs and options for small businesses to help you just take your work to the next level. They can connect you to attorneys and accountants and different
Yeah.
you may need to help you run your business. And then also, I know Malia, you've been part of a few different programs. You mentioned one, and then I know that you worked with Hacks. Was it Hacksville?
I worked with some people that were with them, like to just like, I guess, intern with us. But I've done iLab, the iLab through
Yeah.
Darden. I've done Catalyst,
Great.
and Blue Morning. So
Yeah.
like these are like the ones that I have, enjoyed
Yeah.
working with a lot. that has been like super helpful. And speaking of like resources too, one that I would want to talk about that I think is really, really great is I'm taking this course with this guy called Terry Foster, and it's like Terry Foster Consulting. And, they're really, really good with, when you're starting out, I don't think you'll be in a position to pay them to do your ads because they're expensive. But they do have programs available that you could, afford to learn how to do ads yourselves. If you want, or at least just sometimes you don't even have time to do it yourself, but at least you can learn to know what it's like to run an ad, and then maybe outsource that later on to someone who can help you with that. But it's really, really good. I'm learning a lot from that. They have this thing called the back program that I'm in right now, and it's incredible.
That's great. So we'll leave links to all of these different programs and tools that we've mentioned today. I'll put that in the description so it's easy for folks to find. Do you have anything else you'd like to add, Malia, before we wrap up?
To anyone out there that's feeling some type of way when you start a business, it's just the way it is. So there are ups and downs. So just be encouraged when the downs come that there will be an up again tomorrow. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes. Thank you again. Thank you so much for being here. Please do plug your Instagram handle, website, anything that you'd like people to follow you and support.
My Instagram is Northshea, Northshea. The website is northshea.com.